My name's Alex Hagan. I'm the CEO of DriveSavers. I've been with DriveSavers. I think I'm coming up on about 8 years, and DriveSavers has been in business since 1985. So it's been around for a while. I mean, even in the last couple of years, I've seen it grow from a digital marketing standpoint in areas, whether it's even just social media to the website experience and just overall strategy in general. Things that we used to think maybe didn't apply to the industry that we're in, such as social media, do matter, because even whether you're actually selling directly on things like Instagram and Meta and LinkedIn and all those sorts of things, it's a place of, secondary research where even if you're referred to a business, it matters what your presence looks like in that space. So you're always having to be on, and it's another point of really secondary research for customers during their customer journey. So that's been something. I know it sounds basic nowadays in terms of social media, but we continue to have to adapt and move forward. I mean, from reviews were another perfect example. Google, Yelp, Better Business Bureau, all critical for, even if we're getting a direct referral, people still do a spot check to make sure that they're going to the right place. So everything has to look good online. It's critical. I mean, for managing social, a lot of it had to come down to sort of a process to have kind of a template at least to follow for creating content on a repeat basis, as compared to always having to start from scratch, whether it's blog content. You can have blog content that focuses on search engine optimization, or you can have blog content that helps with sort of nurturing leads depending on where they are in the funnel, or more catering to educational and so on. So there's blog content strategy, there could be Instagram strategy, there could be testimonial strategy, and so on. So really what we did is we looked at all the major buckets of content that could be created and came up with a formula that the marketing team says, this aligns with how DriveSavers says things, this aligns with DriveSavers brand and how we look and how we do things. That way there could be consistency, so that way the marketing department, every time we're trying to put a new post out, isn't caught up on trying to reinvent the wheel every single week. So that was really part of the core to our marketing mix. So to answer your first question, not including myself, there are 3 full-time marketers at DriveSavers who are doing marketing all day, every day, wearing a lot of different hats. So it's not necessarily that one person is dedicated to social media and one person is dedicated to physical design in terms of the materials that we hand out on websites. There's a lot of crossover in such a small team. We don't have any sort of agencies that we work with as it comes to like web design or creative or social. We do have a fairly large network of contract team members that we have that have pretty much become an extension of our team, though, where similar to what I was talking about as a process for scaling up content, it's critical to pretty much have your process defined on, if you want to create a lot of blog content, you have a system that can be followed. And once you have the system in place, a lot of times you can find someone who specializes in that exact task. And there's a formula to be followed where you could say, here's the system, here's what we want to have as an output. And then we find someone who fits exactly that. And it's a very efficient way for a lean marketing team to really operate. And that can be applied to a lot of different marketing tasks. I feel like a lot of marketers, that's a natural thing that they want to explore, is sort of what can they create with that. Even just in the ideation stage for design or coming up with concepts, analyzing just the overall different use cases of how what we currently do can be improved upon, or we have a concept, but we need to break it down. Even just things like ChatGPT can help speed up that process of developing ideas, even just if it's at a high level. But long term, I mean, that could be all of content creation after you've trained it to kind of what I was talking about earlier from a process standpoint. Once you train something like AI on your process, your positioning, your brand, there's going to be a lot of content that's going to be getting put out there in the world from businesses. If not, it's already starting to happen. I mean, we use actual like AI note takers. They're popping up everywhere now. We use specifically like Otter AI, and sort of the use case would be it's easier to sometimes talk through process with team members. It's like, here's what we want, and then we break it down, and then it's like, all right, we have someone took down the notes, and then you have to translate those notes into an actual process and define it. And one of the nice things that at least we've been doing is we'll talk through whatever process we're focusing on, like we do at any of our meetings, and we'll have a note taker running and it's transcribing it word for word. You can take those notes, paste it into Chat GPT, and if you've already trained it in terms of here are the do's and don'ts of how DriveSavers operates, you've already sort of conditioned and trained that specific conversation or model, and it can come out with something that's at least 90% there. You're still going through the process of defining it and having those conversations and coming up with decisions, but it gets you there faster. That's the ultimate goal, is revenue attribution, and whether it's from paid advertising or referrals, it's where are you getting the business and are you getting a good ROI on it? So that's always ultimate goal. Getting there is a very difficult thing for most any business. So really, in my opinion, it's, doing the best that you can is really the goal, and always trying to question it, even if you feel very confident in your data, because there can still be errors as it comes to revenue attribution, therefore ROI. In its most basic form, so much of our business comes from people calling us over the phone, and we actually incorporated a tool that's called Balto AI. And one thing we've always done from day one is, how did you hear about DriveSavers? And we have dedicated tracking codes that gets the customer a discount. And it really helps us understand where we're getting our business from. Yeah. But now, even though that's something that's been in really our guidelines for anyone who's taking phone calls for years, now we have AI pretty much providing similar support as a phone supervisor, a customer service supervisor, where normally it would be, all right, you'd listen to a live call. That's where we used to be, where you'd have to actually capture it in the moment. Then we moved over to voice over IP, where calls were being recorded. So it empowered us even more to really see, all right, we're going to listen to 10 phone calls. Now we're at a place where AI is just doing that all day, every day, and gives you the results. And it allows you to pinpoint really where it's being asked or not being asked. So I'd say that's a huge part of it for us, because that's such a core to our business. On more typical things like Google ads, paid advertising, things of that sort, a lot of it comes down to also still relying on humans to do data entry in a lot of ways. And what a concept. And we can now take call transcripts and really run a report in tools that we use for our phone system to say how many of these referrals said that they found us on Google. And for us, that's able to take it to another level, where that Google referral wouldn't always be put in our database necessarily. It could be, they have an Apple device, so it's an Apple referral, for example, where now we're able to analyze all these different data points in a way that we would have never humanly been able to do, which allows us to feel better about our ad spend on Google, for example. Even data analysis with Chat GPT, what it's enabling people who maybe would rely on someone who all they do is data analysis to really run reports. It's much more conversational now. It's much more what you'd ask someone who does data analysis all day, every day. And, it's not perfect, but it's pretty dang good in terms of being efficient with giving you feedback on data analysis. I mean, our CRM is not a typical CRM. I'll start there, but it's such a core to our business, and we've really built it out to be, function for everything that we need at DriveSavers. So we use a tool called FileMaker, which is similar to a Salesforce or a HubSpot in general, but really been a custom build pretty much since the 90s. So it's been building on itself for years and years and years. And about 5 years ago, when I was getting more involved with operations in the business, I was really evaluating, is it time to, move on from FileMaker and to go all in really on Salesforce is what we were looking at, because it seemed a little bit more customizable. And the reason for exploring that were all these add-on apps and solutions that really would help us more efficiently operate our business. And we went down this path for probably close to a year. And we decided, you know what, it's better for us to actually continue down the path with FileMaker and look at really what these needs that we want to accomplish actually are, and what do we actually want this software to do for us. And there's so many APIs and integrations out there that we're really able to make it work for us. And some of the things are very basic for like payment processing and things like that. We'd initially gone with Stripe. All of our payments used to either be over the phone, we'd be collecting credit card information from a customer, or they'd be sending us checks in the mail. People really want to pay online. That's, make it easy for people to pay you when you've conducted a service for them. So the phase one of, all right, we're sticking with FileMaker, but how do we integrate something like Stripe to make it so we can send online invoices, make it so they can use Apple Pay and credit cards, make it so, we can reduce phone calls too. I mean, someone doesn't want to have a phone call and we're hunting them down trying to collect payment from them, why not just make it easy? Text and email, send them a link. And it's been phenomenal in terms of helping with collecting payments from customers. So that's been a huge win. We're not spending all those hours trying to actually collect on payment, and it's been pretty phenomenal. They definitely like text messages, I'll put it that way. Email, I'd say, is second to that. Phone would be third. All of our initial communication really does start with a phone call, but from that initial point of conversation, we're all in on email and text messages, and that can be for notification purposes. So even if it's something that might deserve a phone call, we make it easy for them to even know, like, hey, here's what we should probably be talking about. So they've at least sort of received and understand the information and context of what we might need to talk about, and not knowing, as compared to not knowing what's going to happen. Is this going to be a 30-minute phone call? I don't have time for that right now. Right. Text communication and email are definitely the direction that people want to go. It's frictionless in comparison to a phone call. What really speaks to me is when it's personalized. I actually, I can look at an email and know if this is just bulk cold email that's going out, or did someone actually take the time to try and understand who my business is, what my problems might be, and then speak to how you could actually provide some value. And I feel that what I look for is value being provided in different ways. It's either elevating and making our business more efficient, or it's saving money. Those are sort of like the two, if I want to just simplify it, those are the two buckets. Our largest single expense outside of employees is what we pay in shipping costs with FedEx. And there are a lot of shipping rate negotiators and refund auditors and things like that out there in the world. And I just went through the process of, I got a cold email, and I get cold emails pretty frequently from shipping rate auditors, I guess, is kind of the general category. And some of them, it's just sort of like, hey, we could save you some money with FedEx. But I had one with this company called Ship Science that literally said, with 5 minutes of auditing your account, we think we could save you this much annually, and this will be our guarantee, and we'll write you a check for the difference if we don't hit it. And I thought that was one of the best ways for them to show confidence in providing value. And we signed up within a week. I'll put it that way, in terms of actually they knew who their customer was. They made it easy for us to really get them what they needed, and they provided a guarantee. And if the guarantee wasn't met, we'd get paid. I mean, that's what a sales concept on that front. So again, I guess what I'm getting at is they knew their customer, they spoke to me, and they understood my needs and explained that, if we don't do this for you, it's not your money on the line anymore, it's ours. And I think that spoke really highly to their level of service that they're going to provide. And I have high hopes for them. So I guess to answer your question, I'm going to start with something that's the now and where I see it going. A perfect example is we have an internal sort of training documentation that we've worked on for years. And it's hosted on a Google website, and it's for internal use only. It's for training purposes and really procedures is really the goal. And we'll even have phone call examples of recordings that are good. And we signed up for a chatbot that will pretty much scan a website, and you can give it some additional rules. And now any new hire immediately has a way in a conversational format. You can even use, voice commands to interact with it. That'll guide you through something that's specific to DriveSavers and how we operate and train as a business. And that's, that came out maybe 6 or 9 months ago at this point. That's old news now. But moving forward, I think there's going to be a lot more conversational AI through whether that's phone calls, video calls, etc., that I think small businesses are really going to benefit from. If you're running a small business, one of the most important things that you can do is respond to leads in a timely manner and give them the information that they're looking for at that moment in time, and make sure that they're calling the right place. If you have a phone that's ringing and it goes to voicemail because you're busy doing a million other things, as compared to having something that's, self-service, where it sounds like a human and is actually providing useful information back to them in a timely manner on the spot, or maybe even taking it over to text communication for the same exact concept, that's where I see small business going. It's going to be more immediate responses that actually provides value on what next steps might look like, answering questions and making it personalized to that customer. So that's where I see it. It's going to take a little bit of time for small businesses to adapt to that. But I think once customers get used to that, and, a couple businesses here and there, a couple interactions, that's going to become the expectation. And I think it's really going to make it critical for any business to really be adapting on that. I do think small businesses will definitely get the hang of it and will be adapting.